You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We are broadcasting. I'm broadcasting live from the Extreme Exteriors mobile broadcasting unit powered by Skype in beautiful northwestern Wisconsin. Tony is in the posh palatial digs in Eagan of the Concierge Landscape Studios.
Yes.
And this topic that we've been going over here, mediation and arbitration as a necessary step in the state of Nevada. We'd like to know what you think about this. Do you think that they're on the right track? Do you see some issues with what we've been talking about? We have on the phone with us another perspective, and that is from a property management company from Heather Herod, who's with us from RMI Management. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
Thanks for being on the show with us. Now, you are probably quite fully aware of this Senate Bill 254 and things that have been taking place here with mediation, arbitration. Do you think that this bill, do you see this as a good thing, or do you think, do you see some issues or concerns with this? What do you think?
Well, first, what I want to say is RMI Management, we represent 90,000 homeowners, and the vast majority of those homeowners are doing the right thing. They are paying their homeowners' dues. They are, participating when they can in the homeowners association process. They're happy with where they live. And in addition, the vast majority of board members also want to do the right thing. They want to work with their neighbors. And when neighbors are falling on hard times and in those cases they have to go through the collections process, what we find is board members want to sit down with these homeowners and want to work on payment plans. They want to get them in the right place. I've seen boards that will spend years working with homeowners and saying, we understand you're in a very difficult situation. We are wanting to work with you. They don't want to foreclose on their neighbors' homes.
You know, Heather, that's exactly our experience here in the state of Minnesota as well.
They don't want to. And in RMI Management, we actually own our own homeowners association collection company as well. It's called Red Rock Financial Services. And Red Rock Financial Services, in addition, in the vast majority of cases when we're working with board members, we say to them, we don't want to foreclose on your neighbor. That's going to be such an expense to the association. That's going to be such an expense just going through that. We will always go back to it. Let's work with you one-on-one. Let's do it a case-by-case basis. Let's do a payment plan. So in this particular instance that we're talking about, arbitration and mediation before foreclosure, we are talking about a very small segment of the population. And Mr. Friedrichs is an individual here in the state of Nevada that is in front of the legislator. He's up at legislation talking about all these issues. He says he gets calls from hundreds and hundreds of homeowners. And what I find and what we find in our experience is we're talking about a very small but vocal minority.
Right. Well, and that's my experience too, Heather. It's you, and I've said this over and over again in my office and probably on this show. There's at least two people in every homeowners association I have ever worked with that can never, ever find a solution, or who are never happy with what goes on, no matter what we explain to them about their documents, no matter what the board decisions are. There are two people that are just not satisfied.
And you know that's always going to happen, right? We're all human.
That's right.
But what I always want to get across, and the reason why the legislators in Nevada are so involved in discussing community associations and why it's such a hot topic here is because of this small vocal minority. And as a management company, we try to get our board members active in the legislative process so that hopefully legislators can act on behalf of the majority rather than the minority. But
so you see this rather than as just an issue really of, or an example of the squeaky wheel getting the oil, and it's just again a few, because most people are probably satisfied and therefore aren't getting involved in legislation.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And I mean, this is a challenge, I think, overall with governmental policy, is when somebody's content and happy and they're living their life and they're so busy doing what they do on a day-to-day basis that the last thing on their list of things to do is to go lobby on behalf of their community association,
right.
Because they're content. And Tony, earlier in the first hour, you mentioned, you find that homeowner associations homeowners don't attend their HOA meetings because they're happy.
Right. That's right.
And that's a challenge for us as a management company,
yes.
because we want to get them out there saying, we're happy, we like living in an HOA. And when we talk about CC&Rs and these rules and regulations, what I always say is it's a choice. It really, really is a choice. Mr. Friedrichs is so fired up, and he is unhappy. It sounds living in his HOA. I'm not sure if he's for sure, but he lives in a beautiful association.
I looked him up on the web, and it is beautiful.
And I have actually met his board members who are all, they seem very reasonable people who want to do the right thing, who are committing many, many hours, valuable hours of their time to try and do what's right for the community association. What I say to people is it's a choice. There are approximately, I would say about 50% of homes in southern Nevada that are not in HOAs, and you certainly could live in those. But another point that I want to make is we find sometimes that homeowners will come to HOA meetings and they actually want more restrictions in the community.
Yeah, Gene referenced that last segment. He said most of the people we talk to, they want the documents enforced because that's what they bought into when they bought their home, and they want to see that those documents are adhered to. One
other thing that I think is a message to convey is Las Vegas, I would say in the last 20 to 25 years, Southern Nevada, there are a tremendous amount of homeowners associations. And what homeowners associations do is they alleviate somewhat of the burden from city government of maintaining common area elements. And so here, legislators in Nevada are, very heavily involved in the process. It's under a lot of scrutiny. And one thing I just want to put out there as a word of caution is if we were to dismantle all of these homeowners associations, all of these private streets and these beautiful landscaped areas, where is the cost of maintaining these going to fall?
Right.
I think you bring up an excellent point, Heather, and that is that people fail to understand that the give and take that took place for a homeowners association to get initiated is the fact that the local municipality says we're going to push onto you some of the items that we typically take care of, like city streets. Right. They're now private streets, and now for the HOA to maintain and not the city. And because of that, people say the HOA is just getting on top of my case for parking, but the HOA is taking a look at issues with parking because emergency vehicles may not be able to get in to take care of someone with an ambulance or a fire truck if the need be. And so there are other things that people just aren't understanding that fall under the umbrella of what the HOA is supposed to be responsible for.
That's true. And I will admit that, NRS here in Nevada, it can be somewhat complicated, and certainly you have volunteers that are reading this very legal document. But that's what a management company is there for, is to help guide these volunteers, help to give them a lot of education and training, and I know our management company does that. And, that is our goal, and I just want to emphasize that Mr. Friedrichs and what he said earlier in the hour, it represents a very small minority of the population here in Southern Nevada, and it's just unfortunate. And I want to, encourage board members and homeowners that are happy living in these associations, happy with how they're being run by, again, volunteers. I go back.
That's right.
They're doing a great job. They're putting forth so much hour and time. And here in Nevada, it's a very, very hot topic, and I believe that that's attributed somewhat to the fact and the nature of our economy here in Nevada. It's very, very heavily hit by the economy. We're in a state of very challenging times, and associations must reach out to collection companies to go after delinquent homeowners, not in a fit of rage or anger or even in a way of just trying to get back at that neighbor, but just really to maintain these common elements that the rest of the homeowners who are paying their dues really bought into. And that's really the focus there. When we talk about mediation and arbitration, again, we're talking about a very small segment of the homeowner population that would have to go through this if it is so passed. And And we don't recommend, in most situations, that foreclosure is the option. We recommend working it out with your neighbor.
I agree.
Heather, thank you so much. This is wonderful that for you to take a few minutes to give us a different perspective, one that is indeed been our case too, one where most people in HOAs are very reasonable and they are taking care of their concerns and matters within that HOA and don't need all of this unnecessary legislation. Well, thanks for being on the show with us this morning, Heather.
Well, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Tony, I mean, I thought it was very good to hear from Heather here. This last segment.
Very
really
well spoken, and she really articulated the issues, I think, very well.
Oh, I agree. And, it's one of the things that we have been seeing over and over again, is it not? That you get a few people who crying foul and that they're being being taken advantage of. And legislators are in a knee-jerk reaction across the country, trying to rectify these wrongs and not realizing that all that they're doing is muddying the waters. And then you get someone like Mr. Friedrich, who agrees that they're muddying the waters, that they don't understand the situation.
Well, and I have to say, what we have read over the last several years we've done this show about Nevada legislation, most of it seems to have been spurred by so-called homeowner advocates, was it not? The ombudsman's office. And now the homeowner advocates are upset because of unforeseen consequences of this meddling by the state, and now they want to meddle some more and tweak and fine-tune, when if you just started with your homeowners association, what better thing than to have control over your own community by working within your homeowners association?
See, you hit the nail on the head there. What happens is there's someone that's not in control. And so they say, well, state government, you step in because they want to be in control. Well, then the state government does step in. They're still not in control.
And then they don't like it.
They don't like it, and then they want to change it again.
Let me give you the definition of totalitarianism. It's a political system where the state recognizes no limits to its authority and strives to regulate every aspect of public and private life. Yeah. And I see these so-called homeowner advocates encouraging the state to do that.
Oh, exactly. They want to get more and more government and not less. Yeah. In fact, that's going to be the at the very center of our next story that we're going to talk about and what's taking place in Indiana. But we're going to take a break right now. Folks, you're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280 The Patriot. We'll be back after this.